Welcome, everybody, to the final PHDJ podcast of 2020. Say hello, Joe.
What's up, everybody?
We made it, dude. We made it.
Thank God. Yes.
I have run 13 marathons in my life, and this week feels like the last quarter mile of a marathon. It's
I
just
said
like,
the same thing.
God, it's almost behind us. Almost.
It's, yeah. I think, I don't know. I had that feeling, and then I think I switched, like the last quarter mile is probably more like the first 3 months of next year is the last quarter mile of a marathon.
Okay. Yeah.
I just wish that, just because it's turning from 2020 to 2021 tomorrow night at midnight is that things would go back to normal.
Yeah, listen, I am not naive enough to
Right.
think that January 1st shit's going to be back to normal.
Woo! Right.
But I mean, we're already starting to trend, and even though cases and deaths are going up, and they're probably going to go, there's going to probably be another surge because of the Christmas travel and everything else, even though those things are happening. So I'm not in any way, ignoring those big issues. The vaccines are getting out there.
Yep.
People are, I think, hopefully with the vaccinations becoming more and more confident. And yeah, I mean, if you're telling me it's going to be spring 2021 before we're back to normal, well, then let's get to January 2021.
There you go.
And then February, and then
There you
March,
go.
and then into
There
the
you go.
spring. So
I'm with you, man. We're on the same mindset. I just
exactly. Yeah.
I think I put too much stock in the day switching from 2020 to 2021.
It's symbolic. It's
Yes,
at least this year, which has been a horrible year for
It's behind.
pretty much everybody, is going to be behind us.
Correct.
We are recording this on Wednesday the 30th. It'll drop tomorrow the 31st. So yeah, by the time you're listening to this on the podcast version, we'll have less than 24 hours. Speaking of which, working this year? No, right? I'm assuming not.
No.
Yeah, we have 0 gigs in the company.
We had 1 or 2, and they just crumbled. They weren't New Year's parties. They were small weddings, but they just finally gave up, I think.
Yeah.
So even Randy, I saw he was going to be on Twitch from 10 to midnight on New Year's Eve. So
what are you doing?
just going to go out to eat and probably be asleep.
So the boys
before
make
midnight.
it till midnight by this point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're midnighters now at this point.
So will you have something? Is there something specific you'll be watching on TV, or you?
I will try and get them off the PS5 and see if they'll
is that
watch.
right?
Yeah, if there's an artist performing, I mean, they're still doing like the shows in Times Square, right? Or
I think so. It seems like Times Square is going to be empty this year, but
Yeah.
with live performances. So,
Okay. Well, if there are artists that they like, they will watch it. Because anytime
Okay.
the award shows are on, I'm like, yo, the baby's on. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll watch.
Right.
It's going to depend on the roster.
When Celine Dion comes on, they're
Out. It's over.
Exactly.
That's when I've lost him.
Right.
Shout out to your mom, man. It's her birthday.
Yeah, my mom's birthday
saw that.
today. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to get a chance to see her, but happy birthday, moms.
Hey.
Yeah, could never tell you the year. And by the way, we're both clean shaven. I noticed. Did you
see that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I
I went
literally
down.
just shaved.
I did too yesterday because we filmed all the new Vault content that comes out
Okay.
on the 1st. So I usually do that. I don't know why.
I was feeling old and scraggly.
Me
It was
too.
gray and white, really.
Yeah.
And I just said, I need a
said
boost.
white.
I was going to wait till January 1st for the new year, but I was like, I don't like it. Let me just
Yeah,
cut
me
it off.
too.
And when
Same.
Kelly gets home from work tonight,
She'll
hopefully
be stoked.
she'll be happy. I hope.
Yes.
We're going to talk about kind of recap 2020 in this, but I just want to go back 2 weeks and pat ourselves on the back, and also Eric Catalano, who came on. That was a powerful, powerful episode that we did about addiction and alcoholism. And I've received a number of people reach out to me and thank me for it. I received specifically one person in our industry who said, based on the episode, he said, I think I might have a problem and I'm going to go seek help. So,
Hey.
and there were other people who just said, man, thanks for taking on that topic and everything else. So, I want to thank Eric Catalano, if he's listening, for coming on, and you and I also for, it wasn't exactly the most uplifting episode, which I think you and I have tried to be, but I think it was also an important episode.
Yep. I do too, man. I'm glad we did that.
And did you see yesterday, Anthony Hopkins tweeted, yesterday was his 45th anniversary of being sober.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah, the actor Anthony Hopkins. So
Wow.
I mean, there are victory stories everywhere you look. So
There are.
if you do have a problem, it's not the end of the world. Seek help, find some inner strength to get through it, but also find your support system around you. You too can beat this thing.
I agree. I agree.
So 2020, let's talk about some highlights. We did not do many events this year, so the first one that I wrote down is kind of an odd one, but what were your best event songs for 2020? In other words, songs that came out either this year or late last year that I would consider 2020 songs, dance songs or slow tracks if you have any. What were, in your opinion, what were the best ones? And then also, do you think any of those will have legs? Do you think we'll be playing them into 21, 22, like an Uptown Funk or something like that?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I just realized I have the old logo up here. I need to fix that.
Oh yeah, you said you hate that one
on the virtual background.
Why do you have that?
I don't know.
Maybe you can help me with this. I tried to do a step and repeat backdrop.
Yeah.
But when I put it up, it comes out
weird
backwards.
Oh, I can help you.
I don't know why.
That.
Oh, you can help me with that?
So. I think so.
I'll have you do that after.
All right. Best event songs. Blinding Lights, The Weeknd, of course.
I knew that would be on your list. You love The Weeknd.
I love
Is The Weeknd your favorite current artist right now?
Favorite? Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
If I could give you front row seats for any concert.
Oh, I've seen him front row. He killed.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes, he killed. But I would still take those tickets, yes. Yeah. And I will go see him when he goes on tour. You know,
I thought Blinding Lights was a great song. I don't think it's a great dancing song. It's that fast. Really almost like 80s. Yeah, exactly.
It's very take on me.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I sold it, in that realm of like super fast dance stuff.
Right.
And maybe I wouldn't play the whole thing. Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now. I love that. These are interchangeable, Savage or WAP. I can't believe that I have to play either of those because I hate them so bad. Drake, Tootsie Slide, even though it kind of came and went because
I was going to say I didn't have a lot of legs with that one.
And I think it was like in that
gigs.
Yep. I think it was in that prime middle of the quarantine where really, truly nobody was supposed to be doing anything type thing. The Baby, Rockstar, but it needs to be kind of a little bit pumped up remix of that. I don't know exactly which one. And then I still, That Rain on Me that we've talked about on the show before, Gaga, that was good. Do I think any of these have staying power? No, I do not.
I don't know either. And I don't know if they'll suffer from the fact that we didn't have a chance to party to them in 2020. So therefore they won't have the
I bet you, Mike, I thought about this the other day, that there were a ton of discussions amongst different labels and artists and
about holding music back.
About holding music.
I totally agree, especially if it's party music, especially dance music. You know what I mean?
Especially dance music, and then even more so though, like just bands that are like live music icons. Like that they just need to be on the road.
Why release an album when you can't tour on it? Why release a dance track when not only no parties going on, but there's no nightclubs going on? Exactly. Anyway, so I have 5 songs on my list. Only one of them was also on your list. Can you guess which one?
The one that carried on to both lists. It was probably Dua Lipa.
No, Rain on Me.
Okay.
I love Rain on Me.
I know you love
great
that
dance track.
It is.
That one. Also Kings and Queens, which I know it wasn't a huge hit, but man, the hook of that song gets in my head.
It gets in mine too. I wake up to an FM radio still, and it's on every morning, and then so maybe I hate it for that reason of waking me up. I don't know. It just
when I made my best of 2020 mix, which a shameless plug you can find on Mixcloud.
There you go,
DJ Mike Walter. That's the one song that I put in there, and I think I put 25 songs in there, that when I was done making the mix and walking upstairs, I had that in my head. You know what I mean? Yeah. So out of all the songs, exactly. Dance Monkey I have on my list. I know that was probably late 2019.
It was.
But that was one of my favorite songs of the year. I got my hands, I think, through Ultimix on a more upbeat remix of that I used a lot and enjoyed it. I'm surprised Dynamite by BTS isn't on your list.
It was, and then I just shortened the list up. That was my one that I took off. So yes. It was on there.
Even though that's not my number one, I didn't really put these in order, but I've got one more. I think if you told me one song from 2020 would have legs, I think that's the one. I think that's the one that could 2 or 3 years from now still be a song that we can play. Just my guess.
I was questioning this the other day. Those guys didn't sing that song, right? Like it's like a Milli Vanilli thing.
Oh,
right?
you think? I have no idea whether
speak English. The one leader can speak English. The rest are like a few words.
Yeah, but singing to me, you could just get. I mean, the Milli Vanilli guys didn't speak. They spoke hardly any English, and they didn't sound like it.
No, but they didn't.
So
sing
I mean, I
those.
get your point, right? But right, that's true. Yeah,
they hired like session.
Right. So that was a bad point. I'm gonna go back.
Bad analogy. I'm like, wait, what?
Horrible analogy.
Edit that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't know,
wouldn't be
man.
surprised if they did, but yeah, maybe not.
I was trying to explain the whole Milli Vanilli thing to my kids, and then I showed them the video when that track skipped on that MTV performance.
Right.
Anyway.
And then my other one is Jason Derulo, Take You Dancing.
Yeah.
And maybe because it's just a personal favorite of mine, I just love the melody in that. I love the message. To me, that's a song that
was the other one I cut was.
I'll continue trying to drop that in early 2021. And I actually do it just because I'd like it to have legs. Maybe it's
Savage Love. No, that was the one I cut. Yeah.
That was the last
Derulo.
one.
Yeah. But it was, that song's a little slow, but it was super big on TikTok. So you could play a little portion of it.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. So how about personal music? And again, I go back to the fact, one of the things you and I have in common, we continue to stay on top of personal music for events, but also just you still listen to new music because you like it. What were some of your faves?
Yeah, and I'm like I'm an album fan. You know what I mean? Like that's how I judge if something's like a body of work. Like I'm not a singles guy. Even if like one of my favorite bands, you know how they'll trickle out singles leading up to the album. I'll listen to it, but I'm not like putting it on repeat until
you want to hear it as part of the album. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Need to Breathe. You know those guys from South Carolina. I love them. Out of Body is the name of the album. These guys, Laney, Lany, the record was called Mama's Boy. So good. The Weeknd, of course, After Hours, which seems like it came out a million years ago, but it was actually like March, to be honest.
Really? That was.
I
would have thought that was late.
Me too. And I looked
he
it up
must have started to trickle singles out.
He did. That was like
2019.
Blinding Lights and Heartless, I think.
Right.
And then we talked about this before. That pop punk masterpiece, Machine Gun Kelly, Ticket to My Downfall.
You like that. I gave it one listen. I got to go back and listen to it again.
If you're a Blink 182 kind of, Jimmy Eat World pop punk guy, that is your record.
There's two albums I need to go back and revisit from this year because I listened to them once. I listened to that one, and I've seen so many end of the year lists, best albums, and Fiona Apple's
I need to listen
album,
to that.
Fetch the Bolt Cutters, I think it's called.
I don't know.
I gave it one spin. It's really kind of trippy. It's out there. So I was like, I remember I was walking Donovan and I was listening to it and I'm just like, I can't get into this right now. But sometimes the best music doesn't grab you in its first listen. I think a lot of times pop music grabs you in its first listen, but then by listen 5, you're like, okay, I'm done with this. And I would say that about the first album that's on this list, Michael Frante's Work Hard and Be Nice. I loved it when it first came out. It hasn't really maintained for me, but over the summer when it first came out, there's so many uplifting, positive songs, and I think he released it specifically during a pandemic. His music is usually pretty optimistic anyway, but I think he went out of his way to say, I know we're going through a tough time. Here's a collection of songs. So I enjoyed it, but I think that's an example of I stopped listening to it after about a month because it has kind of that pop dispensable quality to it, if you will. And I know you're going to laugh at this, but Taylor Swift's both of her albums, man.
I saw you post that the other day.
Evermore or Folklore was the first one, which I've been listening to that since it came out over the summer. And then just 2 weeks ago, she dropped what she calls a sister album to that, which is Evermore. And I don't think it's as good as Folklore, but I've put the two of them together in a playlist, and I just think they're phenomenal. And Betty off the first one is the song that if I had to pick one great song of the year her song Betty, just it haunts me. It
Wow.
f's my brain up. It just, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm writing.
I think if I gave you that album and said this is a brand new female artist who you've never heard of, listen to her, and so you didn't go into it thinking, oh, this is the Shake It Off girl, and this is this is the girl that the teenage country artist that I had to play at so many gigs. I think you probably
would have
enjoy it more.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So try to erase any of your and I had to too, because I didn't dislike, like, I'm not a Shake It Off hater, but to me, it's a gig song. I'd never listen to Shake It Off on my own time. But it took my friend Peter Ferrara, he's the guy who shot my wedding video, and we'd become friends. And I respect his music taste. It took him to say to me, Mike, listen to this album, give it a chance.
Okay.
And that's when I started and totally loved it. And then my other one is Bruce Springsteen put out an album about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, called Letter to You, which is probably my single favorite album of the year.
Okay.
And I think and again, I'm not a big Springsteen fan.
Yeah, that's right. That's what
a lot of people think, because I'm a Jersey guy, I must love Bruce.
Sure.
I don't. I mean, I don't dislike Bruce, but I'm not a members fan club. Right. I've only gone to see him once live. But yeah, this album, and I think any performer will like this album, because a lot of the songs are about performing. They were basically inspired by a band member of one of Bruce's first bands when he was a teenager, who I think they had stayed in touch, but they weren't great friends, but he passed away earlier this year. And that got Bruce thinking about some of the early days of performing and things like that. And so a lot of the songs on the album really kind of speak to me as far as, being, doing gigs and rocking a crowd and things like that. So I tell you to give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. I will.
So those are my personal favorites.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I know we didn't do a lot of gigs, but do you have a best gig or best gigs that you can think of?
Man, it was probably the last couple I did this year. Dom, that does my marketing for the Vault, his brother got married down in Georgia at a brand new venue that was gorgeous. And the positive was it was, a trip out of town, which was kind of rare this year. And the venue was really well done. It was an easy load in. I made my very first gig log, which kind of did really well on YouTube. Bride was gorgeous. He's super handsome. Dom's calling me now. That's weird. And he sang Unforgettable in the middle of it, and he can actually sing. Like, it just had all the elements of a really good wedding. The negative was Dom had the vid. He had corona and could not come to his own brother's wedding, which made me so sad, because they're very close. But
he did the right thing.
He did the right thing. He stayed home, and we FaceTimed him, and he danced around his living room with his girlfriend that also had it. And I was like, man, this is some 2020 shit right here.
And have they both since fully recovered?
Oh, yeah, they're fine.
Okay.
They're fine. It was
thankful about that.
Just so sad. You know what I mean? Like, to see two brothers, they're super close, that he couldn't be there.
Right.
And then the other one was this place called River Dunes, which is kind of near the beach here. And it was a picture I posted maybe a week or so ago. I saw it out of the corner of my eye, the photographer take my picture of the bride hugging me, and she's whispering in my ear. It almost looks like she's kissing my cheek. And she said, I wish you could DJ every day of my life. Like, as like the soundtrack. And I was like, holy and I even saw the photographer take the picture, and this was this was probably 3 months ago, and every week I've emailed that photographer, are the pictures ready yet? Are the pictures, like, I was like, I know.
So you haven't seen the photo?
I just got it like a week ago. I posted it. It's on my Instagram.
Okay.
And I was like, this is why I do what I do. It was it was such a great picture. I finally got it. It was film. So, film photographers take a longer time than even the digital photographers. But
God,
I finally...
I don't think we have any photographers nowadays who still shoot on film.
It's like a thing. It's like a thing. People are bringing it back, Mike.
That's like vinyl. That's like DJs who...
Exactly.
And there are some guys who get gigs because there are some clients that are like, no, I want an old school, vinyl guy. Even if it's not a scratchy scratch thing, I just want somebody spinning vinyl. So, yeah, can be the same thing. Yeah.
How about you?
So
Any stand out?
I'll never forget my first one back, because after, March 14th was the shutdown. I did a wedding that night. And then it was literally 3 months to the day, June 14th. It was a Sunday. There was supposed to be a wedding of like 175 people. It turned out to be 60 people in this bride's mom's backyard under a tent. And it was mid-June and it was gorgeous. And I just felt I was so emotional showing up, because it had been like, man, our industry had just been shut down. And 3 months later, I was able to go do a gig, and I played, I think, for about 45 minutes overtime. Nobody even asked me to. I just kept playing because I was so grateful to be back. And, I think you and I talked about it the week after that. It was one of those gigs that I think we did. I think we actually both that weekend was our first weekend back. Yeah. And, it was a gig in the past, Joe, I would have turned down 60 people in a backyard. I would have given to one of my younger DJs or something else. But, I was just so grateful to have it and to be back work. So, that one stands out. But then as far as the best gig of the year, I did one in upstate New York. And again, I remember talking to you about that. It was my wife and I had scheduled a weekend upstate, and then one of my January weddings, which I think I was actually supposed to do next weekend or 2 weekends from now anyway, they moved to mid-October upstate New York, because the bride's father, who actually happens to be an old friend of mine, has a piece of land up there, and they rented a tent and they put the tent up. I worked with a guy who lives up in that area, Matt, who helped, and he brought some gear, so that's why I didn't have to bring my whole sound system, because again, Kelly and I were basically on vacation that weekend. But that wedding just stands out for me. It was an amazing wedding under the tent. They were dancing during cocktail hour, literally during cocktail hour. I was just playing cocktail hour music, and the dance floor was packed. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to, feed the fire. And it turned out to be one of the, forget about during COVID. Even if COVID had nothing to do, I would look back on a normal year and say, oh my God, Karina and Philip's wedding was the best of the year. So looking back on it, that's one. And I recorded a set and I put it up on my Mixcloud, because it was just it was a great gig. And it was one of those gigs where you could play anything and they kept
whenever. Yeah. I love those.
Yeah. So those are the two as far as looking back on the year that really kind of stand out for me, So how about best professional moments, just overall experiences, moments? Again, you and I usually get to look back on a number of speaking engagements and different things. We don't have a lot of those, but what were the moments that kind of stood out for you?
I think really the main thing that professional wise, was still goes back to the vault, and being that something I started February 2019, so coming up on 2 years now. And somehow, when the year ended and we closed the vault for the first time, we had about 50, maybe 100 more members than when the year started, which I'm not saying hundreds of people did not drop over the course of the year, Mike, but we picked up more than we started the year with.
That's
which
amazing.
In the worst year, let's arguably say since DJing was started by by the DJs in the parks in New York City in the early 70s, I don't think there's been a worse year to be a DJ. And those people stayed members to keep on learning about.
In a year where you have to think that most DJs were thinking, I got to cut some corners here. I got to eliminate some shit.
We all did it.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, I definitely got rid of some subscriptions that I didn't think were worth it. Yeah, Joe, I think that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yep. That's mine, really.
You just got one?
Yep, I got that one.
Okay.
What you got? You have a whole list? I got a couple. I didn't feel that accomplished.
I got a couple. First of all, I think what you and I are doing right here, we talked about it going into the pandemic. Are we really? Can we keep this going? Do we have anything to talk about? Is there anything relevant right now?
Right.
And you and I did it, and there were a number of weeks. I remember you and I talking about early on. We didn't want to get on and make DJs feel worse. And we didn't want to be phony, but we also didn't want to get on and say, woe is me, this sucks, and blah, 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 because there's enough of that in our industry. So I think each week we did try to find some silver lining or optimistic view or something. And I know, as you listen back, a lot of it was false predictions because, we were saying Memorial Day and then we were saying August and we were saying October. So, we got a lot of them wrong. But I'm proud of the fact that you and I maintained this all year long in a year where if anybody could say, oh, let's just hang this up, it's not worth it.
Sure.
And I've gotten a number of messages in the last few weeks thanking us for that. So it definitely did have an impact. As far as business wise, I stepped into sales this year. Chris A left the office, and I'm proud of my numbers. I've been basically running neck and neck with Dominic, who's, been doing sales for me for probably 15 years.
As I say, 2 decades,
and I stepped in and I basically picked up the system and picked up the communication, and I'm proud of that fact. And
that's awesome.
I wasn't sure this time last year when Chris left, if I was going to hire another salesperson, but I don't think I will. I think Dominic and I can handle the load, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that I've been effective about it.
That's nice.
I said early on, you and I didn't have that many speaking engagements. One of the ones I did have was the Wedding MBA, which I was supposed to physically speak at, but Shannon, when she postponed it, they said they were going to an online virtual format, and she asked all the speakers to make videos of what they were going to talk about. I hate that format. I can't stand doing it. I usually turn that down. But she also then threw in the caveat, if you want to speak next year, or she said, if you want to be guaranteed a spot next year, the only people I'll guarantee a spot to is if you make a video. So good on her. She knew, I think she sent out the initial email to speakers and realized she's not getting a lot of videos. So I gotta tie something into this. And after I sent mine in, I got this email from her. She said, each year I am more and more impressed by you. I know you put a lot of effort to make your videos seamless. You truly follow a speaking model that I wish others would follow, but then my job might be too easy, with a smiley. You looked and sounded great like you do in person. Your tips were on point, and so were your visuals, brilliant. I am so proud to call you a Wedding MBA speaker. We would love to have you speak at our next convention. That email to me was one of my professional highlights of the year because, I love speaking at that show. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's in Vegas in November, which is a great time to be out there.
Sure.
And I always hope to be asked back. And so to get that
Whereas
email,
I was asked once and never heard from them again. Yes, I get it, Mike. I get it.
I didn't bring it up to rub that in. And then my final professional, I think
I should have come up with more professional ones. Go ahead. I'm sure I had other highlights. Go ahead.
My final one is, the disc jockey news is hanging it up. And, and I just want to say a tip of the cap to John Young and his wife, Lori, who they have put 16 years into that publication, and they have helped a ton of DJs with knowledge and information through the years. And I understand why he's letting it go. I'm sad that he's letting it go. I've written for, I think, all but 2 of the issues in 2 in those 16 years. I've been on the front page for, I think, over a decade. And when I think about what has helped me become kind of a household name in this industry, I think it was doing the DJ of the Year competition for DJ Times and also writing for the Disc Jockey News.
I'd put writing for the Disc Jockey News as how people.
So tip of the cap to John Young. We're going to miss that publication. I'm going to miss writing for him every month, and it's something I'm super proud that I did, not just this year but for the past 16 years. So those are my personal, my best professional moments. And so, do you have any favorite personal moments that you want to end the show with?
I do. I don't think I wrote. I don't necessarily have one. But I was, I guess, proud or encouraged by, especially early on in the quarantine, how well my family got along. It's very not unusual. I mean, you and I don't have jobs where we have to be gone all the time. We might be gone three times a year, Mike. You mean
for like overnight travel?
Yeah. Overnight travel 3 times a year.
Our career, you're just gone during weird times.
Yeah,
you're away on the weekends. You might be home all day Tuesday to spend with the family, but then Saturday nobody sees you. So it's just odd times.
It's odd times, but it's not like I have guys that are in the tech industry and they have sales jobs where they're literally gone 7-10 days at a time and they come back. Mike and I, if we go somewhere, we go to a DJ conference, we're going for 3 nights and we'll be back. We'll see you soon. But we have been together, since March 14th. I think I went to Nashville one time for 2 nights, and that's about the only time. And up until recently, I feel like it's starting to unravel a little bit, but we were so gelling, game nights and detailing the cars, and everybody was into saving money, and as you've gotten into 8, 9, 10 months now, it's a little tougher. But I was really proud of the fact that all four of us, especially when you got two boys now that are teenagers and they have social lives and not going to school and everything else. I feel like that was our proudest moment, is everybody kind of held it together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
For somebody that's a control freak, that was hard to do. You know what I mean? It's been a tough year.
Personally, I will never, ever forget the outpouring of love that I received after my dad passed away in May. Everything from phone calls to text messages to gifts in the mail to friends dropping off meals at the house. It was just amazing. And you mentioned Big Daddy was on. Probably the moment out of all those that I'll never, ever forget was, I think it was 3 or 4 days after Dad passed, I got a phone call from Big Daddy. He said, "Are you home?" And I mean, this is literally the beginning of the, during the worst part of the pandemic. I'm like, "Yeah, where else would I be?" And he said, "Well, come out to your garage." Yeah. And I thought there was a delivery. I'm like, "Come out to my garage." And I opened my garage door and he's in his car in my driveway, and he didn't get out of his car and I didn't leave my garage. We were, 15 feet apart.
Oh, wow.
And we probably only chatted for 20 minutes, but the fact that he drove all the way down from Connecticut 2 hours in the car to spend 20 minutes with me, to spend 2 hours back in the car because he knew I just needed to see a friend's face. That's kind of outpouring of love I'll never, ever, ever forget. And it helped me through a really difficult time. And you know what I mean? So that when I look back on the year, losing Dad was horrible, but knowing that I had that much support from friends and even, some people I've never even met and were texting, business peers, if you will, texting me or emailing me and just sending cards and stuff like that. It was incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really was. So what are lessons? You learn any lessons in 2020 that you can take forward?
I did. Personally, time passes so fast, man. It just, even this year, which seemed to creep by, really passed fast. And, especially if you're a parent, like you just got to hold on to every second. Like time it's hyper speed. Even if I look at pictures from Colin from March to right now, he's taller than I am. He's slimmed out. He's got a little stash. Like he's like becoming a man. Like I had to have like a condom talk the other night with him, which was the most awkward thing. I don't remember my dad doing that, but I was like, I feel like I need to do better.
Good on you that you did that. Good on you.
Holy shit, it's awkward. And so just hold on to every second. And
did you do the banana thing to show him?
No, I did. I that is kind of like phase 2. Like I'm just going to buy him and be like, here, don't, because when I was a kid, we were super embarrassed. So either we stole them or we would go and put quarters in the machines at the convenience store or at the gas station, which, those things aren't like authorized, like they're not Trojan. They're like, whatever.
I remember walking like 2 towns over to a drugstore, so I didn't have to go to the local one. But yeah.
Hey, Mike, you got like the 12-pack.
Right.
Professionally, you can make it through anything if you're smart, and if you're not, surround yourself with people that are, especially anyone that has anything to do with your money. I think this year is all about perseverance. I think there's a lot of DJs that Mike and I know that aren't going to make it, and they don't even have to be DJs. It could be the pizza parlor in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. It can be the gym where I used to go and ride my cycle that was a national chain. Like there's so many people that aren't going to make it because nobody planned for this. Nobody plans for a year of no income.
Financial advisors tell you 60 days emergency fund. So that shit ran out in May. So
exactly. And nobody's given us anything since. So small businesses are kind of on their own, but perseverance, survival, I think resilience are all words that I learned this year. And thankfully I had somebody watching my money and I was able to, like you said earlier, cut where I needed to cut, and hopefully we'll make it into summer or whenever we're back to business.
Right. So, my takeaways and my lessons from this year, and I hope that I will always remember these things. I am never going to take DJ expos for granted. I think I had gotten to the point where I was attending 3 or 4 a year and speaking
Same.
at them. And, I'd fly in at the last minute and fly out as soon as I could. And,
Same.
I don't think I ever will, pardon me, take stuff like that for granted, because I miss that. I miss, the internet is great to be able to quote unquote see people, but it's not the same. And
Nope.
the fact that I haven't been, the collective in November of 2019, which is more than a year ago now, is the last time I was at a expo. And I don't even know that I enjoyed that as much as I could. If you had told me that day during that, this is the last one you're going to attend for over a year
and a half, yeah.
I might have soaked it up a little bit more. So
Me too.
I think moving forward, when we get back to quote unquote some normalcy, I'm scheduled to speak at Marquee in June or July, whenever that is.
June,
I hope that takes place. I'm not going to take that shit for granted anymore. And if I get back to normalcy where I'm speaking at 3 or 4, I'm going to fly in as early as I can and fly out as late as I can and spend as much time as I can with friends, because
With your people. Yeah.
I don't want to take it. I'll also never ever complain about too many gigs again. and remind me of that, because I got a couple of 4-gig weekends. If things happen in 2021 the way they should, I've got a number of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday weddings. So when we podcast the week after, I don't want to hear me bitching about tired feet or anything else, because I'm making up for lost money in 2020. And I was dying for any gig, looking for any kind of gig this year. So how dare I, if I ever bitch about, I got 4 brides that want me to do weddings this weekend. Screw you, Mike, go do them. Consider yourself lucky.
Exactly. Yep.
So those are kind of my takeaways.
Man, this was good.
Good. So next week, we're going to talk about New Year resolutions for 2021.
I guess also, goals or resolutions or, I'm
also going to, and I was going to surprise you with this, but I'll prepare you for it. And you can do the same if you want.
Okay.
I have gone back and listened to the first show of 2020, where you and I talked about our goals for 2020. Now, obviously, a lot of those were put on hold because of the pandemic, but we're going to revisit some of the things that you and I both said we're going to accomplish in 2020 and see how we did with those. All right. So that's next week's show.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks everybody that is on Facebook, and thanks everybody that listens to the podcast. As always, spread the word. Share the link, leave us a review on iTunes or Apple, whatever it's called, and we appreciate y'all. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Joe. Have a great one.
Thanks, brother.
So long.
Bye, everybody.